Some people underestimate country folk. They think because we wear boots and own tractors, we don't know our way around legal contracts. The HOA next to my land learned just how wrong that assumption was. Let me back up. I own 48 acres on the edge of a small but growing town. I inherited the land from my uncle, who bought it cheap back in the 80s. I run a small organic produce farm and rent a few acres to a family with horses. Nothing fancy but honest work. 2 years ago, a luxury housing development called Sycamore Glen popped up next door. Gated driveways, synthetic lawns, golf carts, the works. And naturally, they had a very aggressive HOA. First, they were just annoying, complaining about the smell of compost, the roosters, the occasional tractor dust. Then came the letters. They asked if I'd consider donating a few feet of frontage to widen their entrance road. I said no. 6 months later, I went out to check the north boundary fence and nearly choked on my coffee. The HOA had built a wrought iron fence across the only paved road that accessed the north 10 acres of my land. No warning, no easement notice, just a shiny black gate with a keypad and a smug little sign that read, "Private, Sycamore Glen residents only." They had literally walled off my own land. I called the HOA. The president, some guy named Kirk in a golf polo, said it was for neighborhood security and claimed the road had been abandoned. I told him that was a lie and I had paperwork to prove it. He laughed. So I called my lawyer. Now here's where it gets good. Back in 1991, when my uncle first sold a slice of his land to the city for development, he included a clause in the deed agreement. It stated that if access to any parcel of the remaining land was ever obstructed by any subsequent party, the original landowner or their successor would have the right to initiate reversion of all easement privileges granted to the adjoining property. In plain English, if anyone blocked my land, I could legally revoke their right to use the shared utility easement, which included their neighborhood's only connection to the municipal water line. My lawyer filed the paperwork within 48 hours. Sycamore Glen got a notice from the city 2 weeks later. Their access to public utilities would be suspended in 30 days unless the obstruction was removed. Suddenly, Kirk wasn't laughing anymore. The HOA scrambled to respond. They tried offering to move the gate. Too late. I had pictures, dates, a signed affidavit from the horse renter who'd lost access. It was ironclad. At the emergency HOA meeting, which a friend of mine who lives there secretly filmed, Kirk tried to blame miscommunication, but the board turned on him fast. Turns out, the entire HOA agreement was structured on easement access from my land, and once that was revoked, their charter became invalid. No utilities, no common road, and no legal grounds for enforcement. A judge confirmed it in court. By blocking access to private land, the HOA violated the original utility covenant. The easement is dissolved, and the HOA has no standing to operate on the affected parcels. Translation: the HOA was legally dissolved. They lost their ability to levy fines, enforce rules, or restrict anything. Overnight, the community became just another unregulated neighborhood with matching mailboxes. The gate was torn down 2 days later. Kirk's house? For sale. Me? I paved a new gravel drive with a fresh sign. Private drive. Trespassers will trigger legal clauses. The land is quiet again. My farm's growing. The roosters still crow. And somewhere, Uncle Joe is grinning in his grave, knowing his little claws brought down an entire HOA.